Okay, this is a special edition teaching session showing off really what I do. I don't know of anybody else that combines this software. So what I'm doing is we're going to create a perspective or orthographic roof framing detail for AutoCAD drawings using Chief Architect. Then we're going to bring it into AutoCAD and create that detail. So what I've got is my contact information. You got questions, you can email me. This sort of stuff, just freeze the pane and read it on if you'd like. So we're going to set up that the whole thing in Chief real quick, and then we're going to build it, frame it fast, and this means that the truss drop will have to be specially designed to accept the lookouts on edge. No, not flat as normal. For these loading requirements in the U.S., 5/8" sheathing will be required, and the lookouts cannot exceed 24 inches on center, as well as the trusses themselves. That's for the sheathing's sake. And I didn't continue in there, but I think I mentioned it later, but that basically is because I mentioned earlier, the 30. So from the small model, I'll find the view angle that suits my needs to create the detail. This is a manner of framing extending out lookers to reduce the number of trusses required for areas where snow loads are 30 pounds per square foot or greater, and decent 24-inch or greater overhang is designed. If you don't know some of these terms, don't worry about it. You're going to see them. So, there it is. If some of the terminology escapes you. Using the Windows snipping tool, I will create and save a PNG to import into AutoCAD and trace it instead of using Ortho tools that, to me, they're quite time-consuming in comparison. If you're wondering why I do not just draw it in AutoCAD 3D and then create the detail when I want, the speed of what I would create in Chief Architect is amazing. I also found Chief superior in visualization compared to Revit pre-render and just as good at rendering. This allows me to design live or in a screen share with my clients and give them a pretty darn nice looking model and walk them through with my 3D Space Mouse. You may choose to see this demonstrated. If so, look at playlists that are just to clients, not lessons using clients' plans in progress. For instance, no, that's not a 3D, but stuff to Fisher and Peck are. Peck is pretty cool. Actually, Fisher's really cool, super design, and Peck is pretty cool because of how far along it is. So these are live walkthroughs where I record it and send them a link so they can view and answer any questions I may have. Once the model is built perfectly in Chief Architect, I also use it to generate a materials list in up to 4 forms, such as linear lists, a buy list, and even a cut list. It will include anything I place in the model, including electrical, insulation, concrete, rebar, on and on. There is a playlist named Garage Plans that shows a complete set of plans, and I think you can put Garage Sample Plan, and that'll bring you right to the video I'm talking about. It's about 15 minutes long, and it'll show all sorts of stuff, but it also shows a really cool thing, which is I have the wall framing in a perfect straight-on elevation view of each wall dimensioned, so it's really just a complete set of instructions on how to build it. I used that simple garage plan because we're also sending it out to the company called ReadyFrame and going to have them pre-cut the walls and package them up, so there'll be 4 bundles arriving so you have to arrive with a nail gun. If it works perfectly, nobody will saw anything for a while. So at least to get the framing done. Why use AutoCAD for my construction drawings? Well, it's more professional looking, and I can create old school hand-drafted framing symbols and that clearly delineate where a beam, joist, rafter, etc. start and another It should be stop, and another starts. It's a good thing to proofread this. Maybe I should do it before I read it to you. This is extremely important, as when sizing beams, for instance, most often a complex loaded beam is larger than a simple span beam. So if you watch my mouse, if I've got a beam that's sitting on something, and then it's got a long span before it gets to the next object that it sits on, but then the same span goes to a short distance to where it's tied down, that is the loading curve. And that's the way it's trying to bend, but it can't because you've sized it correctly. But the size is bigger than if I just had a beam that went across here and then another one across here. So in plan, mine is line dash line, it stops, then there's a space, and then it's line dash line, so they know where everything is. So let's go. No one reads anymore anyway, so probably why I read it to you. So we're just going to get onto this. One thing I do kind of have real, just sort of as like a quick preview, is this is an old detail that I have had for quite a while. It is a rafter style of exactly what I'm talking about, where we drop a rafter out and we go ahead and create a 2/3 backspan. So if this is 2 feet, I don't have a rafter until 4 feet back. So I do love 2-foot overhangs kind of as a minimum. It really protects your siding. It protects your foundation. If you look at statistics on how much it really helps preserve your house, houses without overhangs, they just don't perform as well. So I used to call these outriggers all the time, but that's because I sail and fly, and they're called lookouts. But I've also seen them, like out here, this portion can be called a fly or barge rafter. And I have heard that these guys sometimes referred to as a barge rafter. So I don't know if that's just a mistake that I've heard, or if it's just by what area you're in. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this really quick, and then we're going to make an image out of that, put it behind an AutoCAD, and trace it. Now, of course, that'd take a long time. So what we're going to do is just kind of, let's first go through and just kind of show you a little bit about Chief. And so what's kind of important here is that things are set the way that you want them. So one of the things I want to look at is, what is my roof set at? My pitch, I'm going to set that to 4. I do want trusses. Automatic builds the roof is perfectly fine. It'll turn off when we need it to. I've got none of this I have to worry about. I'll just kind of point out what I am worried about, because I kind of want to move because we got some work to do. Whether or not we show the ridge vent in this example doesn't matter. I'm going to go to a square cut instead of a plumb cut. And that has to do with, that's the way my old rafter one was drawn. And I'd like to have something similar to go with it. So here, I need to reverse this. So this is going to become 1. And this is going to become, I actually going to move it to 2x6s. But I need them to stand on edge. As you see here, if you look closely, these are standing on edge. They're not laying flat. And that's to make this span work, because the strength is in that depth that it's got there. And so here, I can set this to what we should have, which is 5/8, and say okay. We're not even going to see that really. My structure, when we look at the truss itself, we'll get into that, but this is going to automatically change to this number will not be 3.5 anymore. And so here, if I wanted to, I could just make that the 5.5. Because I make my top and bottom chords on most of my trusses 2x6, so you can actually get up there and store stuff, and your roof is just more sound and solid. If the truss company wants to reduce that, and they've discussed it with you, then fine. We can automatically build the reframing as we go along. And we're not going to worry about a framing reference for this. Maybe if I do, I won't have to turn it around. Let's see what happens. So I could explain that, but those of you who know Chief know what I'm talking about. It just tells you, this tells me where the frame is going to start. I can tell it where I want it to start. And I'd like it to start at the front. And when I did this real quick just to show myself, it started at the back. So that's good. So now I want to go into framing real quick. Let's take a look at this guy. And I'm not too worried about this stuff because it's just not part of what we're dealing with today. So here, automatic. Now I want my lookout spacing to be 24. And then blocking style inline is fine. That surface we reset, the structure set, it would have reset anyway when we went through this guy. And so here's our top chord of the truss. I want that to be 5. I want that bottom chord to be 5. Webbing is 3.5. So we're probably pretty darn set up. And if we run into any issues, we'll know it because we'll build right. So I'm going to just pick my wall tool. I'm going to draw. I'm going to hit tab. And when I hit tab, it allows me to tell the difference, the distance. I'm sorry. And that is going to be 224. So I'll say OK. And then if you zoom on in this guy, we click it, and you get this little handle. You can drag it over, hit tab again, and 224, enter. Grab this little handle, drag it down, and it'll actually tell you, hey, you're in line. Boom, done with that. Over here, done. Now, it's doing a total hip roof, which is what it does every time. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to say, hey, I don't want those to be hips. If you get this right out of the box, this is a contextual toolbar, and it changes with whatever you've chosen. And so I'm going to say I want gables. And so now that those are set to gables, as it starts to frame, you should see it pop up here. And if not, I'll close it and reopen it. We'll see what happens. So that is set. And so I think when we're going to see it is when I actually go. So what I did is I set up an orthographic framing overview camera. And it's over here. So it's not pointing in the right place. So I'm going to close that. This is one that I've got saved from when I made that shot I first showed you. So when I click here, and then I say I want a camera. Oh, we're going to do ortho because I have perspective done. And I'm going to hit this little framing thing. And then I'm going to take it and drag it over here. And you would have seen that building as we went. And so what I want with mine is I want walls. And so we're going to come into here, and I didn't drop my framing reference, but right here, I can see my first, we're on the wrong one. That's the one that's altered. Okay. So I'm going to change this to a framing layer set. Now I'm looking at it. So this is what we just built. The other one was the one I modified. So here I've got that it's starting out right. This, before my first truss ended up right through here. It was really close. So I didn't get the nice span that I'm after, and you'll see what we're going to do there. So, but I want to build framing, and I want to build, well, I think I can just hit build framing. Build floor and ceiling. Let's hit cancel here. And let's just show you that just in case we do want one. And CAD points, and I want to know where it is. That's what I want to know. Okay, framing reference marker, and we're gonna zoom in and make sure we get it right on the corner of the wall, right there. Text marker's not displayed. Sure, why not? Turn it on. So you saw that just kind of adjust a little bit. So, well, maybe you didn't, but we can rewind a second if you want to. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of this, because what I'm doing is I'm saving my clients some coin here. So I'm going to take that truss and I'm going to delete it. And then it says my automatic framing is going to turn off because I'm starting to do manual stuff and it doesn't know what to do. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to delete that and I'm going to delete this. And that one's going to be a nice, decently long span. So here, bring this back, and bring this back. I do wish that Chief would, and maybe they do, and I just don't know where it is. But boy, doing a nice stretch. What is this guy? Move to framing reference. Nope. So, be nice if they had the cool stretch tools that we do in AutoCAD. They just don't. But so many things speed up your process. You can hit tab if it's not grabbing what you want, and until you get what you want, or you can find another place to try and grab it. Oop, I hit my right mouse button by accident. Or trackball. I got a trackball in one hand, and I got a 3D mouse in the other hand. And if you're going to be working in this program, or probably Revit, it probably works great too. But man, this 3D mouse is spectacular for 3D modeling. And it's got programmable buttons that I can actually see, such as this. If I wanted to do a command, I've got these programs, so I can draw a line, I can measure the distance, I can break something. You know, these all mean different things, and there's another one, and then there's another one. And that's how many I've got so far. So basically, I also hit a button to turn back onto my selection tool, just touch it. And I can change it from, now the one thing also that Chief, they haven't figured out the selection tool. Man, it's nice in AutoCAD to go from right to left and get that window selection. And all you got to do to get a crossing selection is go from right to left for crossing, left to right for window. And what a great feature. Here, I have to hit one of those special buttons and then hit another button. There are some buttons that are right here on the screen, but they're not on your screen because I got them off over hidden so I can get you a bigger view of what we're doing here. So as we did that, all those fixed. And what I want is this blocking that's through here. So now I've made this side active, turn dark. See this? That's dark, that's dark. So now that I'm over here, I'm going to hit my selection tool, and then I'm going to grab that guy, and then I'm going to hit my open tool. Or you could double click on it if you're sure you got it. And then it's at 11 1/4, and I don't want it to be 11 1/4. So you can do it this way, just if you want to, because it does a different way of writing things in AutoCAD too. So there's space instead of a dash. Things like that you got to get a little bit used to, but it's really not that difficult. And there's terrific videos. So I hit OK. When I do, it repaired that little hole from where I removed that truss. And then I'll click up here again because see it's selected. Click up there, and now it's not. And using my 3D mouse, you know, I can really take a look at this. And is that all I want to show? Gosh, that's kind of a thought, you know? Do I not want to have the walls in this one? And come to me. I'm going away. Okay, sometimes you just come in here. I turned on my layers here from my 3 different types of cameras to see where the heck it was. And it's way out here. Now that view's going to disappear because it's pointed the wrong way. Let's turn it around. And now let's see what we've got, because the camera was so far away. That's why I couldn't control it. Now we should be getting a lot better control. And let's see what happens. Boy, I'm not feeling it. Okay, it helped a whole lot to point it at that center point right there. So when I click on this guy, it's not choosing, not highlighting, it's chosen by, it just jumped way over there. What that's all about. Let's see how it moves. I'll click to the side. It's moving okay. So I've got some control. So I have not shut down my computer in a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if I've got some funkiness going on. So I guess the decision is, once I find this view that I want, man, I'm having a lot of trouble. Maybe it's because there's not enough model here and it's so small without walls and stuff. But yeah, I walk through buildings with ease. In fact, I'll even show you. Look at this guy. You know, want to move around? It's not even a problem. It's just move around. So it's something I've got set incorrectly in this. Oh, I know what I could do. Probably. Let's give her a try. So this has walls, and that's the decision. Do I want to put that in my actual model, as have a piece of the wall like in the old one? I think it's kind of a cool idea. So I think I get those walls built. But on this camera, I think I need to kill it. Come over here, pick this guy, and say, hey, I need a new, clean, orthographic camera. Move it over here to share this so I can see both at once. Now this is the other one, so I want this one. And let's see how I gotta make it active over here. Oh yeah, that's better. I screwed up in playing with the camera too much. So what I want to do is I want to get those walls built. And so I'm gonna come up here to build. I'm gonna go framing. Let's say build all framing. Boom. We got walls. That simple. So my big spread, if we go back to this guy, it looks unedited. It is unedited. Oh, I just told it to build framing. So what happened there is when I told it to build framing, it rebuilt the framing. I asked it to, it did it. And so it's going to do it by what standard settings it has. And if I'd have been smart, in fact, let's try it. I'm going to go Control Z. Framing's off. Now let's go Build. Framing. And build framing. And then automatically build the floor and the ceiling. And how come I'm not seeing that part? Maybe you can't do it. No, you can. I know you can. Roof. Automatically build. Now give me those dialogues. Ooh. So, I'm going to see if this will do it, because I'm not telling it to build the roof. And let's see what happens to our. I didn't get walls. So what I'm looking for is there's a place where it says, and I don't think see if I do build all, there's no options. So it's another method where you can, there's a little dialogue that says retain anything you edited. So the edited portions, it just build the wall and keep those. Let me see if I can find that, or if it's just not something you can do at this stage, and I should have built the walls before I edited it. But I don't think that they are that dumb. So let me see if I can find it. This is in the right place. I just wasn't paying attention. So I want to go to framing, build framing. Here, wall. Build the wall framing. And exterior blocking, blah, 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 all looks pretty good to me. Oh, there is, here, look at this. Wall corners, standard. Nope, reduced stud. Wall intersect, don't have it. So I'm going to say okay. And now I have reduced studs for my walls in the corners. Get more insulation in there. So now I've retained all that roof stuff. Didn't lose anything. By building the framing over. And now all we got to do is find something we like more than I like what I had. So here's the deal. Now that we built this, let's give us more room to play and get a nice view that we're after. And some of this is about, this mouse is so sensitive. This is a space mouse. I don't know why they call it a mouse. You don't move it. You just have a big knob on the top that you play with. Going closer. We're moving closer and getting out of frame. And then I want more of a top view. There, we're starting to look better. Now this is ortho. And I'm not seeing enough of the sides of this part over here. I'd rather kind of lose some of that and see a little more of this. And I want to see that I've got trusses behind there. So I think we're looking pretty good. I'm not going to draw that back wall, so I'm not interested in it. So I can get a little bigger and a little closer. Just make it easier to trace, when I get to that point. And let's just find, that's looking pretty good there for the ortho. So I'm going to stop right there. And now I'm going to look at this one. And this is my perspective. And gosh, I mean, I've always done my details orthographically, but I got to say that this is pretty cool. And it really adds life to the story. So I may go this route, make this my image. We can save both and see how they turn out as line work in AutoCAD. So that might be what I do, is just save both. Yeah, I kind of like that view. I can see it, I can understand it. I do believe that might be the smaller span. This is the bigger one. I want the bigger one because it's just more information. And I want kind of the same angle as my other detail. In case I'm ever offering options, then they're somewhat similar to each other. But this, I think I need a little more from the top to get the story that this spans back. And then here you can see that they're standing vertically. So that means this drop truss has to be made to the right height so they can connect here flush and pass over this one. And then they have to be 24 on center for your plywood strength. Just like this has to be 24 on center. And the reason is for where you're at, what your snow loads are. That tells you what your thickness of plywood is for whatever span you're using. And that's kind of how that all fits together. So I'm liking that view. A lot of lines to draw, but God, it looks pretty good. Maybe just a touch more down. And this fiddling is probably something you don't need to watch. But I think I'm happy with that. I think that shows off everything I want. So I'm going to hit save here. I'm going to go to this guy. I'm going to hit save here. And this is my, so this is the drop truss and drop truss with lookouts, 24 on center on the rake. But I'm going to put ortho in front of this. And I can rename the other one perspective at some point, but I got these models for any other purposes I need them for in the future. And just real quick, this is not part of this program, or not part of this video, but I just want to show you. So this is a standard view. It doesn't give me the line work that I want to trace. And then technical illustration, there's definitely some nice hard line work. I do think this is showing it better. It's a darker line. Then I've got the glass house. This is cool when you're doing a house now. That's way too busy to try and trace. And you can do things like watercolors and, flip over to duotones or just a line trace, make it look like you did it by hand, all that kind of stuff. So this is what we're going to use as this vector view for right now. And we're good to go. I need to save a couple of images. So I'm going to take my little snipping tool, say new, and then my sun dot drop there. So I'm going to, let's just fake one out, and now let's drag it up a little bit. So when I hit new, my sun dot's not in my way. And I want to grab a bunch of it, because then I can decide in AutoCAD how much of it I want to trace. So this is my ortho. So I'm going to hit save. And I want to say it's PNG. That's good. And I'm not going to save it there. I'm going to go back. Support. And I think I want this one. Details. And I think I put it in reframing. And so I'm going to have ortho. And those were, it was called Drop Truss with lookouts. Okay, that's good enough, because if I make, the longer I make the names, the harder it is for me to save, because my stuff is so deep in my filing system. Okay, I got that one. Move this over for a second. Switch to the one I think I'm going to do. And we'll probably start there at least for this, and then I'm just going to do the same thing. Be right back. So for those of you learning this AutoCAD stuff, what I did, I just did a save as and called it truss with long vertical lookout. And I think that I might, okay, I don't. So we're going to go to here, and we're going to see if in C image, or I can even, do I have 3s in here? Yes, I do. So I got a 3D view layer, and this is it's not an XREF, so you have to do the attach, and then go out and find it, and reframing, perspective drop truss with lookouts, open. The scale will specify, the insertion point will specify. So we'll say okay, and then I'm going to drop it. Oh, let's drop it way down here. Ish. So we're going to get to move this around and figure out what we want. Make it a little big, because I think, yeah, that sort of fits in my detail. I might want to shrink this down. Let's see if it'll keep its, yes, it's keeping its. So what I'm trying to do is get this edge here in, and the other thing I can do is go to the home, modify, and I want to send it to the back. Now I can see my previous one to give me an idea kind of what I've got going on. So I'm going to be cutting a lot of this off. I don't need to see all the way down. So I can grab this guy and move it. And let's move it down over quite a bit down. So it looks like I'm starting to overrun my my image or my exterior. So I need some room for notes. So I'm going to reduce it down to a little smaller size. And I got enough here for that note. These notes, I'll be able to get them in there because I won't draw all the way back. I won't draw all the way down. I'll get those notes in. I think that we are in pretty good shape for the way that it's appearing. So now I want to come up here, and on this fade, I love 67 is really, it's just a number that I use for all sorts of stuff. And goodness gracious, if it's not like the perfect number for tracing. So I can just dump all this stuff. I can keep one or two of them. So I've got my line weights. I can keep my notes because a lot of these notes are going to be the same. So, I'll keep some of this and then erase some of this jazz. This thing's in perspective, so there's going to be nothing about this that's like, oh, geez, I should have kept those vertical lines. So move that. I'm not going to worry about it. I can't grab the image unless I hit the edge of it. So I can do crossing. Let's move all these notes. Should have done it a little different, but I'm going to be able to fix that pretty quick. Let's get those there. I still see an arrow out there to the right. And then we're going to move that one, and that one, and put them over here. Now, I can move this, and it's an aligned dimension, so whatever we draw, I'll just come back in and align it again. So to get rid of that, what I want to keep, so I want to copy that, and I could just bring them back in, but I love matching properties to make things happen fast. So there's a window select, that's gone, and we got to make sure that we got a name in here that makes sense. So this is caps lock on, common truss with, and I do small w, and then extended let's see if I got enough room. Yep. Extended space vertically. Oh, I might not have enough space. Oriented. Yeah, I will. Lookouts. I got so many names in my head for that. And then I'm going to hit apply. And I want to come in here while I'm here because I want to switch this because I don't know where it's going to end up. And so let's remind myself, hey, you need to put it on the right page, and you need to give it the number to where you're pointing at in your drawing. So in this case, may not really have a number, as it won't point to anything unless I can figure out a way that, I don't know, you point to something to show a whole piece of road. So, okay, now this is sitting pretty good. Oh, see that? Okay, I'll show you a little thing about AutoCAD is right out front here. I want %% U, and that's going to underline that. So it looks like this line's coming out. I don't know how to change the thickness to make it match that, but it looks good. So it's good. And now it's just a matter of zoom in and start drawing. And so I want to turn kind of all my stuff off. I guess snaps will be okay. I'll use those once I start to get a few lines in. So here, I go D. If I'm smart. Oh, this thing is old. See, those are, so before, I got to fix my layers prior to bringing it into my drawings, because what it has is old convention names. So if I go filter this down, then in my names, all these, as I see that's why it's called details evolving, because there's things that the engineer that I went to school with, he and I came up with this system together, and we still work together a lot. So it's nice when everything we do matches together. And every once in a while, one of us will make an executive decision and change something and share it with the other. And if it's an idea we both agree on, then we'll keep it. And if it's not, then it goes away. So there's just changing those. Those are the only ones. So this drawing section, so now that I got it filtered down, what's kind of cool about that is until I get to things like dimensioning, which we don't have to on this, those are all the layers I need. So when I do my drop down and I switch to the object, my drop down list is now this long. So I don't need that other stuff. So now I just start going at it. Let's draw a line and come out to the very end and drop it. And then these are perspectives, so I can't like just nab it and copy it down. It's better to just go ahead and draw it. So the parts that are important about the drawing of this, whoa, I'll show you in just a moment here. We get one more line in because then it'll start to make sense. And then I'll do a whole bunch of tracing and not record it because that's obnoxious. So this line is in the foreground. So this one disappears, and I could actually break it at each one of these so that where wood hits wood, you don't really see that line as much as you would where it's in dead air. So I make this line darker, and the way that we have ours set up is that if it doesn't show as well on the screen, then it's a thinner line when it's drawn. And so this will be a thinner line than this will be because it's the front leading edge. And then I'll do them across there and across there and across there if I want to go to that detail by the time I'm all done. And so it's just a matter of coming back and saying, okay, well, when I draw this, I'm going to go back and I'm going to catch this third truss and a little bit more to make it so I have a nice, easy break line when I come in here to set that break. And then I'm going to draw my walls down to some portion along through here. And then I will come up with this second truss, finish it out, and the rest of this will go away. Won't be part of the drawing. So I'm going to do that work and then come back, or this is going to be a super long video. That's going to blow the heck out of you. Quick little make your stuff look cool trick. I use splines. I'm not sure if that recorded. I use splines a lot, so if I gotta make sure I always click back in AutoCAD before I start. Or the first time I touch a button, it just does the last thing I did in OBS. I don't like that, and I don't know how to fix it. Turn it off. Oh, I'm not. Oh, it is in G-Junk. Okay, SPL. Why am I not getting a red line? We'll compare. Down. Oh, there we go. I don't know what that effect is, but interesting. So now when I extend my, I hit escape instead of it. When I extend my wall or all these studs down, there'd be a curve to it so you can get this kind of natural looking break line out of it. So I'll just extend to that, and this doesn't print, so you can leave it there, you can turn it off later, whatever you'd like. So back to drafting. All right, that took a little while, but it looks pretty good. Let's turn off that 3D layer behind it and see what we've got. I missed. No. Oh, I hit appliance. There we go. There we go. So just move these little tags around and let's put them where they belong. Oh, all my snaps are off right now. So yeah, just a matter of coming through and labeling stuff. Make sure it fits within the drawing itself. As I put them all in, point to that drop truss back in here. We'll show the plate, all that stuff. So I'll move all these in, and like this guy here, this would be putting it from here to, you can kind of go either side, because if you go on one side of one, you go to the other side of the other. And then to make it look nicer, I just take and fit out to there, and that it's pretty well defined as to what we're pointing at. So about there, I would let's say. And that's explaining that 2/3, and probably change that to 2/3 or more. So I'll wrap this up real quick, and then we'll take a look at it and see how it prints. And there's some cleanup work still to do, such as, if I really wanted to do this right, then what I do is I'll come in and I'll break these, and then I'll extend back to it. And because this line is just a straight seam right there, then it's not a dark line. And just do that all the way across. And it's a bit of busy work. And it looks like I may have something up here. Can't tell you exactly what. So let's take a look at that real quick and see what kind of... Oh, it's a little bit deceptive, the outside plate going through. So I may want to curve my line up and then down, just taking this guy and try and get that plate cut maybe a little bit more so it reads better. But then when I do that, I kind of need to, I guess, do something that makes it look a little more continuous. And that's a pretty radical curve there. So maybe even just swinging this down a little to add it, give it a little flavor. In fact, that one is actually kind of nice because it kind of brings it back. And then just trim these out, so I'll extend down, see if that will extend. Hit it, yes. So it's not perfect, so just trim it back, but it was long enough to hit it. And then this is where I think when I turn that off behind it, I'm hoping this will make it a little more clear as to what's going on. So let's turn that off one more time and take a look. Does it look like a big board going through there on the bottom? And that's not the case. So go to that 3D view, freeze it. It's almost like it's that. In fact, I think if I take and trim that out, that's helping to show more of what's going on. I still see some stuff that's just tricking my eye. So I think I'm going to play with this a little bit. So I'll probably undo that change and just make it, do that part. I'll examine a little bit better as to where these, because like these two, that's not the same board. Now that kind of is, but this certainly isn't. So to deal with this, I guess I do something more like break it here, and then just bring this to there and take this back near that and trim that back so it starts to separate. And maybe even this shouldn't be down so low, so it's its own spot. I gotta go near. Maybe that will help it read better. It was a very straight line on the original, and I thought I'd see if I could add a little flavor to it. And maybe that wasn't the best choice. So maybe I'll straighten it out into little pieces, but all in all, it's still a pretty decent looking detail. So let's turn that off one more time. Well, that's certainly more readable there. This still looks a little funky. I think that needs to go back. That's part of its problem. And so maybe here I need to, let's just take this angle and drop it there, and then trim. Trim it out like this and see if that helps. And so this one also, it's kind of faking you out. So this probably needs to be more like that. Oops, I missed. But I think you're getting the point of where I'm trying to get with this. Go to that inner, not quite hit. Well, REA. Yeah, when you're working with splines and you haven't regenerated, sometimes it's hard to see exactly what's going on, so I can chamfer that. Oh, it's a spline, so it doesn't want to, so trim it. And maybe the same sort of thing here where this one needs to go back. Now that's saying that's the actual place. Let's see, REA, but it's not. We'll zoom in, REA, and then we'll move that from that intersection to the end of that. And now I should be able to chamfer that and that, and then trim back that. Oop. Yeah, that's starting to look more like it. So I think it's straighten these guys out will make it a lot more readable. For some reason, this one looks like it's sideways. So I will straighten that up a little bit, and I do have to end the video because it's so late that my computer will go to sleep, and I don't know what OBS would do on pause. So this is pretty much how I created that. It was kind of fun, and I think once I've got it cleaned up, it'll actually be pretty nice looking detail, and maybe I can toss it in as the final product as the thumbnail for the actual image, because I don't do a lot of editing. Sorry. But anyway, it's time for me to hit the hay. So thanks for joining, and see you next time. Bye for now.